So this is an interesting situation. Andre Smith went ahead and opened up about how much you get fined for being overweight going into training camp. So imagine, you go into training camp, you're supposed to be, I don't know, like 320, right? You come into training camp, you're a lot bigger than that. Maybe you're 350, 370. I know the Ravens, Michael Pierce had this issue when he went to the Vikings. He actually left the Ravens, went to the Vikings, and when he went to the Vikings, he was way overweight. So he ended up getting cut because he was way too much overweight and he wasn't going to lose the weight. So, different circumstances, obviously. He gets cut, goes back to the Ratbirds, rest is history. Let's talk about this one, though. So, former Bengals Smith appeared to Raw Room show this week and dropped a funny story about his weight loss in Cincinnati. In 2009, he was a first-round pick, played 10 seasons, and said that the team fined him $500 per pound. Okay, let that sink in. Let's say you get into you get into camp, you're 320, right? You're supposed to be 270. That's what, 50 pounds overweight. 50 times 500. That's a lot. That's a chunk of change. That is a chunk of change to be paying for being 50 pounds overweight. Which, for everyone out there, that's 25 grand. Which, for an NFL player, you gotta remember, because a lot of people don't realize this, they get paid their salary, right? Let's say they play the whole season, right? And they make, I don't know, $2 million. Let's say they made that, right? Uncle Sam comes in and takes a big chunk of that. Not only that, we've heard from former NFL players about this. When you make that much money, your family, they want money too. They want a new house. They want a new car. A lot of these players say, okay, I'll buy you a new car. I'll buy you a new house. I'm blessed. Thank God that I'm in the situation I'm in. I'll buy you stuff like that. That $2 million ends up being nothing at all in the end. So if you go into camp and then the Bengals are like, 25 grand, you're overweight. It starts to add up. It really starts to add up. And that's not even including the stuff that the player might want to buy for themselves, right? And then you have a girlfriend. You have a wife. You might have kids. It adds up. And if you're on child support, well, you're making all this money, child support's going to go up. So there's all these bunch of factors that raises the price of, how much you're spending. And then you look at it, okay, well, it makes $2 million. Well, that money goes up really quick. That's why a lot of people win the lottery. They go broke very quickly. You might say, how do you go broke when you win $20 million? Because they spend it within seconds. They spend it, go out, buy, 20 fancy cars, buy 2 houses. Everyone gets a fancy car. Everyone gets a fancy house. Well, guess what? Money's gone. Maybe they might gamble it. They might, buy illegal substances. This is just how it works, right? I'm not saying that Andre Smith did that, but I'm saying that money, a lot of people think $2 million is like, oh, they're making all the money in the world. No, they're not. Uncle Sam is going to tax them to all bloody heck. And then the rest of the money is going to be split up between a lot of different things. At the time, it would have been $500 per, or in some per pound. Smith noted on Mike Brown famously called out Smith's weight during the season of Hard Knocks. Smith even joked teams claimed he helped pay for the weight room with the fines. And yeah, no, I would assume he does. I assume that if you're overweight, think about, realistically speaking, let's say every single player, or every single season, you play 10 seasons, right? Every season, you're 50 pounds overweight, right? Let's just say hypothetically. That's going to be $250,000. To redo the weight room and to redo everything, you got a couple players who are, theoretically speaking, giving you $250K in fines, well, that's a good chunk of change to get, a new weight room, a new complete revamp of a weight room. So it is what it is, At the end of the day, again, like I said, love Andre Smith. But it is something that they really do care a lot about, is you have to be the correct weight when you get in there. And sometimes it's, hey, listen, we just want you at this weight because it's what we feel like we're going to get the best out of you, right? And at the end of the day, when it comes to these contracts, especially NFL players, is a business, right? You're a product for them. They're paying you for a service to entertain and be an NFL player. But at the end of the day, they put monetary value on you. They say, okay, well, you're worth this much, and I know if you're at this weight, I can get this much out of you. So it is what it is. And also, if you're too overweight, like I said, Michael Pierce back in the day, you can get hurt. You can get hurt. You have a higher chance to get hurt if you're overweight and you're not in shape. So it's all different types of factors. But again, like I said, at the end of the day, man, shout out to Andre Smith and shout out to the weight room, because my man out there funding the whole entire program. Oh, man. $500 per pound is actually not that bad. I will say. I really thought it was going to be $1,000 per pound, because they're very strict with that. Now, it's not like wrestling or like UFC where you have to be a certain weight classes. But still, you don't want your guy 100 pounds overweight. He's probably not going to be 100% as much as you want him to be because of that. So, tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. I'll see you guys next one. Peace out.